Okay, it's Brian Murphy back again, and this is talk 2 on my series on the Christian racing engine. I'm just going to talk very briefly here about how an engine works. So if you're not even interested in Christianity, you might be interested in this here, because everybody drives a car, and cars at the minute have internal combustion engines, and most cars have got 4 of these. So that's a piston. And this bit that's swinging is called a connecting rod. So most engines are 4-cylinder. They've got 4 pistons, 4 connecting rods. The connecting rod goes round the crankshaft and rotates the crankshaft while the piston goes up and down. So I'm going to explain the 4 strokes of an internal combustion engine, because it works on a 4-stroke cycle. This piston runs inside a cylinder. So on the first stroke, the piston is right at the top of the cylinder. Above the piston, it's called a combustion chamber, and there's 4 of these on the cylinder head. So whenever an engine starts up, basically, its first stroke is called an induction stroke. So the piston is on the way down, it's coming down, the inlet valve is open, which allows an air-fuel mixture into the chamber. And as that piston travels down, it creates a vacuum which sucks the air-fuel mixture into the cylinder. So the piston now comes down to the bottom. That's the bottom of the induction stroke. The second stroke is called the power stroke. Sorry, not the power stroke, it's called the compression stroke. And for the compression stroke, the valves in this combustion chamber are closed. So the piston's now on its way up, and it compresses the fuel-air mixture, which elevates the pressure, and it also elevates the temperature. So the piston starts to come up, and it comes up to the top. So but now you've got a fuel-air mixture which is compressed, and it's hot. So it's ready really for detonation. It's a very, very explosive mixture. So at this point, your spark plug will spark, which will detonate the fuel-air mixture, which basically creates a bang, and this creates the power stroke. So this is the only stroke that creates power in a 4-stroke cycle. So because of that explosion, the piston is driven down, it rotates the crankshaft, and it causes power. The very, very last stroke is called the exhaust stroke, and it's really where you get rid of the spent gases, because if you've had an explosion, you've got spent gases in your chamber, so the piston comes back up and it drives the exhaust gases out of the chamber, out of your exhaust, and out of your engine. So that cycle happens every 2 revolutions of the crankshaft. The only cycle that creates power is the power stroke. Every other stroke does something else. It's equally important, but the only one that creates power is the power stroke. On most engines, you've got 4 cylinders, you've got 4 pistons and connecting rods, so they're all going up and down, and while one's in induction, the other one could be in power, or could be an exhaust or something else. So that's basically how an engine works. It's very, very clever. Very soon we mightn't have internal combustion engines if the battery people have their way, but I've got a feeling that the internal combustion engine will be around for a while longer. Now, on a racing engine, this piston and connecting rod is basically made of better, superior materials. Now, Billy that I referred to, Billy Muskelly, 40 years ago, Billy said to me, and it was something that stuck with me, that if you double the revs of an engine, the stress goes up in a square law. In other words, it's 4 times the stress. In a typical car engine, it'll run to probably 5,000 RPM, 5,000 revs per minute. On a racing engine, it could go up to 10,000. So in other words, on a racing engine, you could have 10,000 RPM, which is 4 times the stress on the engine. So that's why your components have to be far, far better, because they have to be able to stick the pace. That would be a cast piston. On a racing engine, it would be a forged piston because it's taking so much more stress. It's very important, basically, as a Christian, that we build our lives according to the Bible. So in other words, we build good components into our lives, and it's by reading the Bible and obeying God. So I'm going to talk about something else the next time. It'll probably be the crankshaft I'm going to talk about. But the important thing is, in Christianity, it's all about the detail. You see, Billy Muskilly's been working on engines and things for 40 years because that's his passion. He loves it. And he's very, very good at what he does. But as Christians, sometimes we don't take our Christian life very seriously. We don't read our Bible the way we should. We don't pray. We don't seek God. We don't ask God to work on our hearts and our lives the way we should. And that's why we end up in a place where we're not as effective for God as we should be. So I want to encourage you, basically get before God and ask God to work in your life and to make you better, to make you stronger, and to make you more endurance. Okay, thanks for listening again.